After an end of season finale that left me literally biting my fingernails to the end, we today are going to be looking back at all the highs that we experienced across season 3 at Elland Road. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Leeds United Pride of Yorkshire. I'm Frankly FM84. A big thank you for joining me today as we are looking back at season 3 in charge at Elland Road. So as you can see, we have started off at the season review page. We have our 3 trophies proudly on display. We have the European Super Cup, the Carabao Cup and the Premier League trophy. So we are going to flick through all the pages. We're going to go through the highs. We're going to show you what the finances look like, what is going to be happening for the future in terms of the club and how the club want us to move forward after winning the Premier League. I think we are a season early for winning the Premier League, but it's always nice to have achieved that so early in the reign at Leeds United. We are just going to keep trying to build the club and grow the brand, I think, and see where we can go in terms of player sales and player signings. I think we're going to have a few players depart in the summer. We are also going to look to build a team that is capable of defending the Premier League. But as always, let's start this episode by going through the season review. And the first page, as always, is the new arrivals page. So let's hit on that. Okay, so you can see that in terms of the signings that we made in the summer, or some of them in January actually, Ibrahima Konate was one that somebody in the comment section said the price was an absolute bargain. He was an absolute steal. We bought him in for £11 million, only 24 years old, probably wasn't given the chances he deserved at Liverpool. The board were delighted with the deal that we got him on. Paid £11 million. He's played 41 games with 11 goals, 1 assist and an average rating of 7.80. He has played so well that his agent come to us and actually demanded that we put his salary up from, let's actually have a look at what his current contract is. So his current contract, he came to us on 60 grand a week. They are now demanding £200,000 a week for Konate, which is a little bit extortionate, but he has played well, and I think he's a player who probably deserves the money. He's one that we will build the team around at the age of 24, so he will probably be getting that new deal. The next player that we signed was Neco Williams, another one from Liverpool. Board only with a C+ for that. They were pleased to see there aren't many future fees and making the deal too expensive. The transfer fee and the player's wage was representing good value for money. I did see something saying that the fans were upset that he was only a backup at Liverpool and we were buying him as a backup, which is a bit strange because he was never supposed to be a first choice right back, but he did come in for some cup games. He come in for rotation games. Only paid £2.8 million. Not too sure what they expect at all. So he ended up playing 11 games. Didn't end up scoring any goals. Had 1 assist, an average rating of 7.03. I think that's a pretty successful first campaign for a new player. We then signed Lucas Nemeka. He was a player that we signed for £10 million from Wolfsburg. He was one that actually we bought in just for the quota of English players because he was developed by Manchester City, classes as a homegrown player or home nation player, I think it is. And when you're registering for a European Cup and those kinds of tournaments, you need players that are homegrown in country. So for £10 million, he is a decent enough player. And the board gave us a C- for saying that it was down to giving the player a wage that is too high for his place in the squad. Didn't really get too many chances to prove himself across the season, only making 6 appearances, 7 of those from, or 7 extra from the bench. Scored 3 goals, had 2 assists and 6.98 average rating. Wasn't too bad. So then we moved on to big money transfer for Marco Verratti. The board gave us a C+ for that. It said the player's wages were too high for his place in the squad. Not too sure what they're looking at there. Verratti is a mainstay of the team when he's fit. Did have a few health issues across the season. Managed to get in 33 appearances, a further 4 from the bench. Scored 7 goals, made 6 others, and had a 6.9 average rating. Remember, we didn't have to pay that 65 million all up front, so no damage really done in terms of the transfer budget and expenditure that we laid out for him up front. So I think it was a good deal, and I still stand by that deal. Next up, Sebastiano Esposito, a 21-year-old striker, bought in from Inter Milan for 8.5 million. The board are content with the deal, so give it a C. I think he has room to grow. He was a buzz player in the game for a few years. Spent some time at Basel from Inter Milan, but we came in to pick him up as an alternative to Šeško. He started the season well enough. He's played 5 games from the start, scored 3 goals, 1 assist, had further 8 substitute appearances. No problems there at all with that deal. We then picked up James Trafford. He's a player who features on FM Scout's Wonder Kids list. Managed to get him on a free transfer, so the board cannot complain about that whatsoever. They gave the deal a C. It says it's due to getting such a good player without costing the club any money. So I'd have thought that would have been a bit higher. Maybe the club scoring it down because he's not a first teamer, but he's 21 years old, plenty of room to develop. Only played 1 game this season. We then signed Thiago Alcantara, and despite going against their own recommendation of not signing players over the age of 30, they actually gave us a B+ for this deal. It says the board are pleased with the deal to sign Thiago, mainly down to the transfer fee in the deal representing great value for money, even if the player's wage is on the high side. Pleased to see there aren't many future fees that could end up making the deal expensive. So £4.4 million. He was transfer listed by Liverpool in the January window. We swooped in, picked him up, and that was a perfect deal for us, really. It's an experienced player in and amongst some younger players, so he's a player that can pick younger players up and try and work on that consistency with them. And obviously Thiago Alcantara is a world-class footballer in real life too. The next signing that we made was Angelo, 19-year-old wonder kid, £14 million, recently ranked as the number 12 best wonder kid in the game by the Next Gen in the current season we are playing in. The board are pleased with the deal, give it a B-, mainly due to getting the player to agree to a lower wage than we would have expected somebody of his ability to have. So the board were obviously pleased with that deal. It was a deal that I enjoyed putting together because it's another wonder kid off of the list and another one that we can develop for the future. Didn't really give him too many first team appearances across this season. Only played 3 times, 6 more from the substitutes bench, but he's definitely one that will be breaking into the first team in the near future. So on to the season's results. This is where it gets oh so good. So as you can see, we sat proudly at the top of the Premier League table after 38 games. After 37 games, we were in 2nd place, but because of the drama that unfolded in yesterday's episode in the last game of the season, the madness that happened with the 5-3 victory where we were up, we were down, but Manchester United were losing the whole time, which meant that we were able to swoop in at the death and take that vital victory and the Premier League title from out of their hands. So it says how it unfolded. Qualify for the Euro Cup. We did that easily. Final position was first. Average home attendance 36,447. Šeško was our top goal scorer with 23 goals in the competition, and the board are delighted that the team has won the Premier League. Moving on to the Champions League, this could be a little bit so how it unfolded. Board expectation was to be competitive. Final position was the group stages. Karim Adeyemi and Max Wober were our top goal scorers in the competition with just 2 goals each. And as it said, we were knocked out in the group stages, playing in a group with Atletico Madrid, AC Milan and Monaco. Board give us a D. It says that the team were only fairly competitive in the Champions Cup. We did win 2 games, but we did lose 4. And they can understand that the team had a difficult draw, and that indeed it was. So we didn't get off to a good start. We lost away to Atletico Madrid 3-2, lost at home to AC Milan 2-0, lost away to Monaco 1-0 for 2 home games where we absolutely blew teams away. So we beat AS Monaco 4-1 before beating Atletico Madrid 2-0, and then sadly lost when we had the chance. It was kind of a winner-take-all situation. If we would have won, we would have been in, but instead AC Milan won and we got knocked out. We didn't even get into the Europa League. So the European Super Cup, the board didn't think it was important. I actually did because it's a piece of silverware. It was against Manchester United and we won 1-0. Didn't play overly convincing football, but still managed to get ourselves another trophy in the cabinet. Got a C+ for that from the board. In terms of the FA Cup, the board wanted us to reach the quarterfinals at a minimum. We ended up getting to the semi-finals, which was pretty decent. Unfortunately, though, Manchester United getting their revenge on us from the Super Cup the two teams back and forth all season. It started with the Super Cup, then they knocked us out of this. We stole the Premier League. I know which are the ones I would rather have been having. We got a C+ for that campaign. And the Carabao Cup wasn't important to the board. We actually ended up winning the competition. Daniel James and Benjamin Šeško were the top goal scorers. We got a C+ for the campaign, and we won in the final 3-1 against Arsenal. With our competition results, Crystal Palace we beat 3-1, Newcastle we beat 2-0, Liverpool we beat 4-2, then lost in the first leg of the two-legged semi-final before winning the second leg 2-1, and then we beat Arsenal at Wembley to lift the trophy. So on to moments to remember. Our biggest win of the season was a 5-0 demolition of Leicester. That came in August. Goals from Thomas, Llorente, Daniel James and Brenner got 2. Brenner will be coming back for the new season and will not be leaving on loan again, I can assure you that. And then our match to remember is the Premier League game against Chelsea where we won 3-0. Šeško put us in control early on in the first half. Goals after 8 minutes and 33 minutes for Ahmed Hodzic with a big header to finish the game off. Ahmed Hodzic is almost recovered from his spinal injury, so he will be back for the new season. And then goal of the season was scored on the last day of the season, and this was a brilliant goal where the ball just got pulled back to Daniel James. Hardly any backlift on it. He's hit it like a rocket. It's gone straight into the top corner. It was a fantastic goal and deservedly wins goal of the season. So onto the finances. In terms of the club reputation, we are still a 4-star continental team. We have no new overall sponsorship deals or notable deals. Our sponsorship revenue is up from last season. Broadcast revenue is down from last season. Corporate and hospitality is up. Competition prize money is up. And our match day commercial and retail has gone down. Well, it says down, but it looks exactly the same. So 2.11 last season, 2.1 this season. Not a big deal. Merchandise, we sold £4.05 million worth of merchandise. 2.34 million of that was non-domestic sales, so that's pretty interesting. We sold 93,079 shirts, and the most popular players were club captain Calvin Phillips, Benjamin Šeško, Konate, Bentancur and Rafinha. So how we lined up across the season. So the team averaged out by the computer will say that Meslier, Firpo, Woba, Konate and Kajust were our best back four. Phillips and Bentancur in the middle with James, Puig and Rafinha in behind Šeško. So that sounds like a matchday lineup that we would put out on a regular basis. So the computer seemed to have that one pretty much right. The only players I would put in there instead maybe would be Verratti, and Thiago would have to force his way in too. But on to the accolades then. So in terms of manager awards for myself, English Premier Division Manager of the Month for August and for November, and we were Premier Division Manager of the Year after winning the Premier League. On to the club awards for the player awards. Fans Player of the Season was Konate. Young Player of the Season was Konate. Signing of the Season was Konate. Goal of the Season went to Daniel James. Top goal scorer was Šeško with 28 in total. Most assists, Firpo with 16. Most Player of the Match awards was Konate with 11. Highest average rating was Konate with 7.8. Most passes completed per 90 minutes was Llorente with 55. In terms of the competition awards, so World Under-21's Footballer of the Year was Benjamin Šeško. European Golden Boy was Benjamin Šeško. The English Players Young Player of the Year, Benjamin Šeško. Asian Young Footballer of the Year is Suphanat Mawanta. English Footballer of the Year was Ibrahima Konate, and English Players Player of the Year was Ibrahima Konate. So that £11 million was absolutely well spent. So on to the record breakers. Most assists by a player in a season, 16 for Junior Firpo. Most clean sheets by a player in a season was 29 for Ilham Meslier. Most Player of the Match awards in a season, 11 for Ibrahima Konate, and the highest transfer fee paid was £53.78 million for Marco Verratti. But again, I keep saying that is not all money up front, so that is money that was paid half up front and then half in instalments. So on to history in the making. So a remarkable season for Leeds, started superbly and never let up. They are deservedly champions. I actually think we were a little bit lucky because Manchester United hadn't lost a game for about 8 or 9 until they faced off against Tottenham, and just when we needed them to lose a game they actually went and did it, which helped us so much. In terms of our trophies, you can see the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, and the Super Cup. And it says Leeds flew out of the traps and set themselves up for the most magical of outcomes. So a truly magical season, a season that we are going to look to try and replicate straight away. We want to be defending the Premier League. We want to be, well, I'm not too fussed about the Carabao Cup, but adding more domestic silverware would be nice. The FA Cup, obviously, is one that we want to tick off because it is the biggest of the domestic cups. And then we also want to give a good account of ourselves in the Champions League next season. So we are going to jump back to the home screen. We're going to go through a few other little things before wrapping the episode up. So let's see you at the home screen. Okay then, so we are now back on the home screen. Players are inducted into the Leeds overall best 11, and you can see that pretty much the lineup that we were playing week in, week out has made it in. So we've got Meslier in goal, Firpo, Ahmed Hozic, Konate and Manea, Bentancur and Phillips in the middle, with Daniel James, Ricky Puig and Rafinha and Benjamin Sesko all making it in. The substitutions would have been Brandt, Koch, Lorente, Adeyemi, Tyler Adams, Thiago Thomas and Brenner. So we have just gone through the season review. Our seasonal performance analyst report then. Our attacking output numbers stand out. We are performing well above average statistically, which is great to see. We are performing above average in attacking statistics, which is great to see. Our goal scoring numbers are huge outliers, and our crossing numbers are absolutely fascinating. So a little bit for me to delve into there and have a look at how we're playing and why we are playing in the certain way that we are. Onto the club vision and expectations meeting. So this is getting more and more complex every season. So this time around, play entertaining football, play attacking football, develop players using the club's youth system, do not sign players over the age of 30, play counter-attacking football. So entertaining, counter-attacking, attacking football. Okay. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team, make the most of set pieces. Don't really play for them, but we do score quite a few corners, so hopefully that will just tick that one off. So they want us to work within the wage budget, obviously, minimum 4-year contracts for first team players, increase commercial revenue, spend the original transfer budget. I've never seen a board tell a manager to actually spend all of the transfer budget. I don't think I've ever come across that in the game. If that's new, let me know in the comment section, because I don't think I've ever had an expectation from the board to actually spend all of the money that they have put up. So interesting. We're going to give it a go. I'll show you how much in a minute. Premier Division for the end of next season. Well, where did that go? So through the Premier Division, they want us to qualify for the Euro Cup 2. Why would they not want us to qualify for the Champions League as defending champions? Not sure. Champions Cup, reach the first knockout round as a minimum. Okay, so by the end of 25-26, Leeds want to be recognised as best of the rest, despite already winning a Premier League. By 26-27, they want us to qualify for the Champions Cup, despite the fact we're already in the Champions Cup. And by the 27-28 season, they want us to be challenging for the title, even though we have won it already. So I thought we were one season ahead of where we should be. The board actually think we are 3 seasons ahead of where we should be, because they only want us to challenge for the Premier League title in 27-28. So we've got plenty of time to be turning the team around and building something. However, I think that we are just going to accept those because we are already where we are, and I'd be disappointed if we weren't actually challenging for the Premier League next season as well. So we've got a team meeting to go through. The squad are going on their end of season break, and we are going to be going, where should we go on our pre-season? Let's go to the US of A. So we will go to the US of A between 15th of July and 25th of July 2024. So let's have a little look here through. You might have seen already, Ibrahima Konate was named English Footballer of the Year. He was also English Players Player of the Year. Sesko was English Players Young Player of the Year. Alisson won the Golden Glove. He managed to get 24 clean sheets. Meslier only 23. Alisson only conceded 17 goals across the season. Meslier conceded 24. And if you think about it, we had some crazy games in there where we conceded 3 on the last day of the season and stuff like that. So he's proven himself to be an absolute fantastic goalkeeper, is Meslier. I have won English Premier Division Manager of the Year, and my Director of Football has praised me for winning that. And then Leeds players were named in the Premier Division Team of the Year. So our representatives are Meslier, Firpo, Konate, Calvin Phillips, Bentancur, and Sheshko. Not too sure there why Frankie de Jong is playing as a centre back. A bit strange. And Cristiano Ronaldo must be an absolute freak of nature. Although I do believe he's retiring. There is his overall information. Plans to retire on the 15th of July 2024. So the last couple of months of Cristiano are winding down, and he obviously was as good as ever in the last season. What stats they are: 37 games, 33 goals, 5 assists, 6 player of the matches, and a 7.56 average rating. What a player. What an absolute baller. So the last couple of things to show you then are the finances for the upcoming season. So despite the club having an overall balance of £29.8 million, they have allocated £64 million for us to spend. And remember, the club want us to spend every penny of that. The wage budget is £2.457 million, and we are spending £2.2 million, although with Konate's new contract potentially on there, we may just top that up a little bit. Our profit and loss is fine. We only lost, it says we lost 35 million, but that's obviously through player acquisitions because of Verratti. But last season it says, oh, okay, so this season already we're spending 35 million because of the add-ons for Verratti, but last season we lost £8 million. The club is stable, and I believe that when all of the other revenue streams come in, we will have a nice budget. We are on course to pass both financial fair play for the Champions League and the Premier League. So, quick thing to look at. Let's go through the squad and just show you what players look like at this point. So in 2024, Meslier is proving himself to be our number one. We do not want to look anywhere else. He still has 4 years left on his deal, so he's going absolutely nowhere. Ibrahima Konate, the bargain, the player of the year, the player of the world, and everything else, and he wants his new contract. He's looking like a rock star. Age of 24, so he won't be going anywhere either unless a massive offer comes in, or he rejects the new contract that we have just put in front of him. In terms of Junior Firpo, age of 27 now, he's still absolutely solid as always. You can see why he was a Barcelona player, even though in real life he isn't playing as you would expect him to play, potentially for Leeds in real life. Rodrigo Bentancur, contract runs down in 2 years' time, so a potential new one on the horizon for him. He is becoming an absolute baller in the middle of the park for us. Him and Calvin Phillips forged that partnership, and then Verratti and Thiago just complement both of those. Speaking of Verratti, still absolute top notch, the age of 31. No concerns about him at all dropping off for the money we paid for him. I think he's still a bargain. Calvin Phillips, he is Mr. Leeds United club captain, going absolutely nowhere. 3 years left to run on that contract, so nothing doing in terms of him. Thiago Alcantara's only just come in. Daniel James has been flirting with the idea of moving away from the club. He wasn't getting regular games all across the season, but he did break into the first team at the end of the season. And I think if the right money was to come in, I think you can still see here he is unhappy, wants a new contract now as well. I think, though, if he is wanted, who's he wanted by? Tottenham. So if the right money comes in, I think Daniel James could be a player we could move on. Karim Adeyemi had an up and down season with injuries, only actually started 4 Premier League games, couldn't keep himself fit, so couldn't really get into the team. Wasn't going to dislodge Sheshko. He has only a year left on his contract, so that is one that we will be discussing straight away. Then we have Esposito. He's a brand new signing still. He has plenty of development, 21 years old. And the last one to show you, as always, is Mr. Benjamin Sheshko himself. You can see his stats still don't look like they are that of an absolute world star, but this kid is a bit of a rock star. He has been smashing goals in left, right and centre. 39 appearances across the season with 28 goals suggests that he is everything that we were looking for in the player that we signed. So I think that is pretty much everything, and we are going to wrap it up here. In the next episode, as always, the one after the review is the transfer special and the pre-season episode before we look to get on with season 4. That then was a look at the season that was a highly successful season that saw us walk away with the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, and the European Super Cup. All the better for winning the Premier League and snatching it off of Manchester United on the last day of the season. So, as I said, tomorrow's episode will be the transfer special where we go through all of the players that are going to come in and all of the players that will be leaving the club potentially, and also show you everything that happens in pre-season as we fly off to the United States. So, if you're at this point of the video and you're still watching, you're enjoying the content and enjoying the journey and looking forward to season 4, please don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button to help the channel out. Every interaction helps so much. So drop a comment down in the section below as well if you want to know anything about the save or where the save is going. I'm happy to always discuss everything to do with the save. But for this one, I'm going to wrap it up and I will catch you on tomorrow's episode. We look to move into season 4 with the transfer special and the pre-season.